Hello everyone, this is Ron from Ron's World. I'm down here at a location where I live here in Virginia called Ficklen Island. It's very beautiful and this is what it looks like. In this video I'm going to talk about some things about my trip to Panama about 2 weeks ago. In this video, I want to cover how to get there, what you want to take with you. I'll discuss some lodging options and things of that sort. So the first thing I want to cover here is your paperwork. Make sure that you have a valid passport, that you have at least 6 months remaining on it before it expires. You will need your COVID vaccination card. In Panama, what's considered fully vaccinated is that you have the original immunization and a booster. It's not necessary that you have that third booster, but if you can, I highly recommend getting it because you never know how things change during the interim while you're down there. You will also need what's called a digital affidavit of health. And this is a digital form that you fill out. It's not lengthy. I'll leave a link in the description where you can access this form. I'll also create a tutorial on how to fill it out. Now beware, because there are travel agencies or maybe scammers online who will charge you to fill this form out. To fill the form out, it is free. I also recommend that before you embark on your trip to Panama, reserve your hotel, Airbnb. Now, I stayed at a hotel called the Executive Hotel. It's a very nice hotel, and I will definitely stay there again because it's right in the thick of Panama City, and everything is within walking distance. There's about 118 restaurants in the area that you can walk to. There are about 15 or so attractions that you can walk to. So it's a very nice hotel. As you saw in a previous video, the rooms are nice. And you get free breakfast even downstairs. The restaurant is nice. Also make sure that you have a round trip ticket, that is a return ticket when you go to Panama. Now there are several hubs in the United States that will get you directly into Panama. One is in Houston, Texas, the airport there, and there's one in Miami. Now I live in Virginia, so I flew out of Richmond International Airport into Miami, a short layover, and then into Tocumen Airport. Now, while you're en route to Tocumen, the airlines should and probably will pass out an immigration form. I highly recommend that you get that immigration form filled out while you're on the airplane, so don't forget to bring an ink pen. That way, once you get into customs, you're not fumbling around looking for an ink pen, getting the form filled out while you're pushing luggage around and dealing with the crowds there at the airport. So get it filled out while you're in the airplane. It will make things go by much smoother when you're going through customs. Now, with regards to that digital health affidavit form, you receive a barcode that looks like this. All right, make sure that you take this with you. Print it out and take it with you. Now, you'll also receive an email that will contain this QR code. Now, what I do personally is that I take a snapshot of all of my paperwork with my phone. I'll take a snapshot of this. That way I'll have a digital copy of it, and I'll also have a paper copy of it. I'll also print out a copy of my passport. I'll have a paper copy of it, and I'll also take a snapshot of my passport, and also my COVID vaccination card. I have a snapshot of that on my phone as well as backup. It doesn't take much time to do that, and it's very convenient. Now, with regards to this QR code that you're going to receive, this health affidavit, make sure that you do not fold it and crease it like that, because the Panamanian authorities will most likely not accept it because it's very difficult for them to scan it. I've seen individuals going through customs and they had this, but the Panamanian authorities there in customs weren't able to scan it, so they will send them to another line. They do some other checks, and it's just time consuming. So make sure that you have this, that when you have it, that you don't fold it over that QR code like you see here. And I've done this on purpose so you can see what I'm talking about. And also, if you have a digital copy of that QR code on your phone, that's even better. The cost of an airline ticket, a round trip ticket to Panama, is going to average you about $500, and I think that's very reasonable for the price of a round trip ticket. You can probably get that ticket cheaper if you do some intense research, and also it probably depends on the time of the year that you're going down there. Now, with regards to expenses, cost, a decent hotel within Panama City is going to cost you anywhere between $80 to $90. If you want to live above the clouds, you can get a very ritzy hotel. The Sorties is a pretty nice hotel, and I believe it's reasonable. The executive hotel where I stayed, it's a 4.5 star hotel, and I was very comfortable there. And the next time I go down, I'll probably try some different hotels. You can do your own research and look for some Airbnbs in the area within Panama City. There are plenty of them. So getting lodging won't be a problem for you. The currency there in Panama is the official currency is the Balboa, but you're going to see predominantly the US dollar. The Balboa is linked to or tied to the US dollar. So feel free to use your US dollars down there in Panama. In fact, I highly recommend that when you do go down, depending on how long you're going to be staying, just have $100 or a couple $100 of cash on your person, because when you're out and about and you're buying, say, souvenirs or buying food from street vendors, most likely they're not going to be accepting credit cards. Cash is still king in Panama. So if you go to an establishment and you give, say, the vendor, say, a $10 bill, and he or she gives you back a Balboa coin, don't feel that you have been slighted. A Balboa coin is still, it's a US dollar, so you can use it to purchase any goods and services there in Panama. With regards to food, what to eat, anything you want. If you're into the fast food stuff, such as McDonald's and Burger King and KFC, all that is there. I highly recommend that you try the Panamanian dishes, such as the sancocho cadena. It's simply chicken stew. It's very good. The arroz con pollo, that's chicken and rice. Oh, amazing. Hojaldre, that's like, it's a pastry. That's very good. The ropa vieja, that's a beef stew. The patacones, that's a flat plantain chip. Very good. I like those to snack on. The ceviche, that's a fish stew. The best I've ever tasted was in Panama. The espado, that's a shaved ice. Don't leave Panama without trying that. And also, there are many fried fish dishes there in Panama. Many nice restaurants that you can go to and eat to your heart's desire. The cost of food, depending on what you eat, depending on where you go, varies from, say, $8 to, say, $10 or more per meal. If you go into a very ritzy, a very high-class restaurant, you're going to be paying prices that you pay here in the United States. How do you get around in Panama? Well, you can take taxis. Now, taxis can be quite expensive depending on where you go. The average fare for a taxi is approximately $1.50 to $2 per kilometer, and that's going to also depend upon the traffic conditions there in Panama City. Within Panama City, traffic can get quite heavy during certain times of the day, so that's going to vary. So be prepared to pay, say, between $25 and $30 if you take a taxi from the airport into Panama City. Now, what I do is I use Ubers. Ubers are far more cheaper. You know what you're getting. You know what you're paying, rather, when you take an Uber. Getting an Uber in Panama City is out of the airport is very simple. Make sure that on your phone you have the Uber app installed and use it like you would use it right here. When you do call an Uber, prior to coming out of the baggage claim, simply use the airport Wi-Fi. Get your Uber. Uber X is what I recommend. The driver will know exactly where you're at. In fact, you guys can even hook up and say, okay, meet me at zone 5 or zone 15. These are areas across the street from baggage claim. You will see a large parking area as you're coming out of the airport. I believe my Uber driver picked me up at zone 15. Now, something else I highly recommend that you do is install WhatsApp on your phone. Most of your Uber drivers and taxi drivers will have the app installed on their phones. That way you can send them a text. They can send you a text in case they lose you. You can say, okay, they may say, where are you? You can say, well, I'm over at zone 5. They'll know what you're talking about. Or I'm at zone 15, and they'll go right to you, and you get in your Uber and you're on your way. Now, the most common way that Panamanians get around Panama City is the Metro bus. You can get a Metro card for about $2, and per trip, you're talking 35 cents per trip. And it's very easy to use the buses in Panama City. Just find where people are standing or look for the Metro bus signs and stand right there. And once you get on the bus, I believe it's over the driver's right shoulder, you see like a scanner. You scan your card and take a seat. Panama also has a rail system, a very modern rail system, a subway that is, that'll get you around the city as well. And you'll use that very same Metro card to go where you want to go. Now, I'm not going to cover that in detail because I didn't use the bus systems and I didn't use the rail system, but I'll leave a link in the description of this video where you can look at the schedules and look at the routes and the stops that the Metro Rail in Panama takes. Now, with regards to getting around the country, you could rent a car. I didn't do that. I didn't have to because I was on a tour. If I go back to Panama, I probably would not rent a car. I do know how to drive in Panama because I used to live there for 3 years, and I drove a 1977 Cutlass Supreme when I was down there. And in short order, I learned how to drive like the Panamanians drive. They're very aggressive drivers, and they're respected when you drive in that manner. And I didn't have any accidents for that entire 3 years that I drove in Panama. But if I go back to Panama, and I will be going back to Panama several times and several times soon, say if I want to go from Panama City, say up to Boquete or to Las Hajas or any other location within Panama, I would take a bus. The largest bus terminal there is at Albrook. You go there and you buy your ticket. It's very cheap. I'm just guessing. I think that a trip from Panama City that's at the Albrook terminal there to say Boquete will cost you about $25, something in that range, maybe cheaper. It's not bad. So using the bus to get around and see the country in Panama is, in my opinion, the best way to go, unless you prefer to do things on your own and you feel comfortable driving, renting and driving a car in Panama. Then do what you do. You do you. What to pack in Panama, that depends on where you go and what time of the year that you go. Panama has 2 seasons. It has a dry season, which is between January and March, and it has a rainy season that runs from April to December. You can get hot and humid down in Panama City, or you can get cool spring-like weather up in the higher elevations, such as in Boquete. So that's going to depend on where you go. However, I do highly recommend that you pack lightly, light clothing, t-shirts, shorts, tank tops, some good walking shoes, a hat, sunglasses, sunscreen. Make sure that you bring your mask, your COVID mask, because as of the 28th of March, in fact, when I was down there, the mask mandate was lifted for being outdoors. Now, if you're going inside, say such as a grocery store or some other establishment, the wearing of masks are still required. And the Panamanian government, they're very serious about that. So make sure that you wear your mask. And the Panamanian people, they don't have a problem with it. Wear your mask. If you're caught not wearing it, you could face some hefty fines. So be a good ambassador. Keep in mind that you are a visitor in another country. Now, if you're going to be going out at night, say to a nightclub or say to a movie, I do highly recommend that you pack something that's appropriate for going out. Say for a guy, a pair of nice slacks, a nice pair of casual shoes, and a nice shirt. Ladies, you know what to do. Now, will your cell phone work in Panama? Well, mine did. I have the T-Mobile Magenta plan that allows me to use my cell phone in 215 locations in the world. In Panama City, once I landed, my cell phone still worked. I was on a reduced rate of 3G, but I was able to send texts. I could make phone calls that would cost me 25 cents per minute. Now, if you have an unlocked phone, you can purchase a SIM card for about $2 and get an excellent data plan for about $15 per week. Do you need to know Spanish in Panama? Not necessarily, but let me put it this way. Knowing some Spanish helps, because the further you venture away from Panama City, you'll find less and less Panamanians who speak English, or if they speak English at all. So I highly recommend learning enough Spanish to get bys such as buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, gracias, just phrases. Don't walk up on a Panamanian and just start demanding anything. You want to be polite, buenos dias, gracias, and that will take you a very long way. I believe in making friends wherever you go because people tend to remember you. I know that if I go back to Panama, whether I'm in Las Hajas and Boquete, there are people who will remember me, and that will make things go by a whole lot smoother. So make friends if you're that type. I'm that type, and I don't mind making friends and associates. But you want to be friendly, be on your best behavior, don't be that guy. Now, when I was going through customs, there was a couple, I believe they were either Canadian or they were American, and they just simply refused to fill out the custom form. So the Panamanian customs officials, their patience was only went so far, so they pushed those individuals aside. I don't mean physically, but they told them to go over here and you just simply wait. It takes 5 minutes, if that, to fill out that form, but they felt that they didn't have to fill out that form because they had nothing to declare. That's irrelevant. It's a requirement. It's the law that you fill out a customs form for entry into Panama. But they were so adamant, they simply refused to fill the form out. And I don't know how long they sat there in the customs, but they weren't getting through. And that just simply made no sense to me. So don't be that guy and don't be that gal. I should also mention that in this modern age, we have something called Google Translate. Google Translate has this function on it that allows you to convert text into voice.
Good morning. I would like to go to the executive hotel, please.
Buenos días. Me gustaría ir al hotel ejecutivo, por favor.
My Uber driver used it, and I used it. That allowed us to communicate with one another. His broken English wasn't very good. My broken Spanish was terrible, but we're able to find a way to communicate, and that's what's important. Is Panama safe? Absolutely. Are there areas within Panama that you don't want to go into? Of course, that's anywhere you go, and largely in Panama City. But you hang around the crowds, you'll know if an area is bad or not. If you're not sure, just ask around. But you'll be very safe walking around Panama during the daytime or even at night. So I highly recommend that if your schedule allows for it, take a week, take 2 weeks, go down to Panama and check it out. I recommend spending at least 3 days in Panama City to check things out there. I'll do another video of places to go in Panama City, of things to experience in Panama City, and also areas outside of Panama City throughout the country that I recommend that you check out. Check out Panama. I'm almost certain that you'll love it. There's something else about Panama that I should mention here before I close the video, is that Panama is on an entirely different frequency, an entirely different vibe as opposed to living, say, here in the United States. Here in the States, we're at a very high frequency, a very high vibe. Things move so fast. People are for the most part in a big hurry, on the highway, just rushing through life to get things done, to get from point A to point B. In Panama, the pace is much slower, the vibe, the frequency is much lower and more laid back. And by the time you go into Panama and when you leave, you will feel so much better. It's like taking a deep breath. I just love it. I love the temperature. I love the atmosphere. The Panamanian people are friendly, but keep in mind that they do things differently there. So don't be in a big rush to get things done. Things will get done, but if you're friendly, if you are respectful, that will take you a very long way. Okay, so this is Ron from Ron's World. Hope this helped. You guys have a great day.